very, very nervous. I have been and am, but why will you say that I am mad? Above all was the sense of hearing. I heard all things in heaven and earth. I heard many things in the underworld. How then am I mad? He had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. For his gold I have no desire.
Thank you.
I think it was his eye. Yes, it was this. He had the eye of a bird, a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it fell on me, my blood ran cold. And so very slowly I made up my mind to take the life of the old man and free myself of that eye forever.
You should have seen how wisely and carefully I went to work.
Every night, late at night, I turned the lock of his door and opened it oh so gently. And then when I had made an opening big enough for my head, put in a dark lantern, all closed, and no light shines out, and then I stuck in my head. And this I did for 7 long nights, but I found the eye was always closed, and so it was impossible to do the work, for it was not the old man who was the problem for me, but his evil eye. Oh, the 8th night, I was more than usually careful in opening the door.
Who's there?
I kept still and said nothing. I did not move a muscle for a whole hour. During that time, I did not hear him lie down. He was still sitting up in the bed listening, just as I have done night after night. I knew that he had been lying awake ever since the noise. When he had turned in the bed, his fears had been ever since growing upon him. It was open, wide open, and I grew angry as I looked at it. I saw it clearly, all dull blue with a horrible veil over it that chilled my bones, but I could see nothing else of the old man's face or person, for I had directed the light exactly upon the damned spot.
Other times I hear a low, dark, quick sound such as a watchmaker's when inside a piece of cotton. I know that sound well too. It was the beating of the old man's heart. It increased my anger.
But even yet I kept still. I hardly breathed. I held the lantern motionless, but the beating of the heart increased. It grew quicker and louder every second. The old man's terror must have been extreme. The beating grew louder, I say louder, every moment. Yet for some minutes longer I stood still, but the beating grew louder and louder. I thought the heart must burst. The sound would be heard by the neighbor. The old man's hour had come. At length, it stopped. The old man was dead. I placed my hand over his heart and held it there for many minutes. There was no movement. He was stone dead. His eyes would trouble me no more. If still you think me mad, you will so no longer. When I described the wise steps I took for hiding the body, I was quickly but in silence. so well that no human eye, not even his, could have seen wrong. There was nothing to wash out, no mark of any kind, no blood whatever. I had been too smart for that. A tub had caught it all. Ha ha ha. As the clock sounded that.
Hello, we are officers of the police.
A neighbor reported in a suspicious scream.
Can we search your home today?
Come on in. For what had I to fear? The cry was my own in a dream. And, the old man's out of the country.
Is it okay if we look through your room?
Search well. I took my visitors all over the house. I led them at length to his room. Would you guys care to take a seat? The officers were satisfied. I was completely at ease. They sat, and while I answered happily, they talked of common things. But after a while, I felt myself getting weak and wished them gone. My head hurt. I had ringing in my ears, but still they sat and talked. The ringing became more severe, but it continued until at length I found that the noise was not within my head. Yet the sound increased, and what could I do? It was a low, dull, quick sound like a watch making when inside a piece of cotton. I had trouble breathing, and yet the officers heard it not. But the noise kept increasing. Why would they not be gone? Was it possible they heard not? No. They heard. They suspected. They knew. They were making jokes of my horror. I could bear those smiles no longer. I felt that I must scream or die. And now again, louder.
Villains! Pretend no more. I admit the deed. Come with me.
Come on, here. It is the beating of his hideous heart.